Good evening, everyone. I'm Bill Getz. I'm a photographer on the news staff of KVAL-TV, the Fisher station and CBS affiliate in Eugene, Oregon. In this profession, I had two mentors. One who is probably familiar to some of you is Phil Sturholm, King TV's longtime news photographer, chief photographer, and producer. The other, probably not so familiar, is Rebecca Force. I had the opportunity and great fortune to work with Rebecca for more than 15 years at KZI-TV, the ABC affiliate in Eugene. She started as assignment editor, then became assistant news director, and later served as the station's news director for 10 years. Many of those who worked with and learned from Rebecca, first in Medford and later in Eugene, have moved on to larger markets in the Northwest and beyond. She is currently helping to train a new generation of journalists at the University of Oregon's School of Journalism that will probably do the same. At the same time, she also researched, produced, wrote, and narrated a 3-hour video history of the University of Oregon. Someone once said no one ever got ahead by sitting around all day watching television. Rebecca Force dedicated herself and encouraged those she worked with to make television news worth watching. As you are about to see, she is quite a remarkable woman.
Okay, you need to go over the script and you need to read it about 4 times because right now you're not reading it comfortably.
I will ask my students sometimes at the university, who do they know who watches the news? And the people that they know who watch the news are their parents and their brothers and their cousins and their aunts and their uncles and their grandparents. They're people they know. And then the next question is, would you lie to those people? Would you manipulate those people? Would you treat them badly? Would you not serve them well?
You graduated Vassar with a degree in biology.
When I got out of school in 1968, I applied for a job that I was completely qualified for at a lab in Portland. I went to the interview and the fellow said, "You're Pearson?" And that was my maiden name. And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "We don't hire women." When I moved to Medford subsequently, I was looking for a job, got offered a job at KOBI in their bookkeeping department. And I said, "No, thank you. Would you be interested in news?" And I said, "Okay." I became a news reporter. Best job I've ever had in my entire life.
And these people are willing to talk about it.
I loved reporting more than I have ever loved anything.
It makes it seem that either the parole system is a farce or the sentence a judge hands down is a joke.
I have great respect for science. The #1 rule of science is thou shalt bend before the truth. And it is also the #1 rule, or should be, of journalism. And if you don't know the answers, then make sure that you cover the issues as fairly as possible. They made me their news director. After 10 years, they said that the ratings weren't high enough. They fired me. In Eugene was fortunate enough to get hired as an assignment editor, but after about 3 years became also the assistant news director, and then subsequently the news director for 10 years. Wonderful stories were covered. If you had a big story, we would try to make room for you to have enough time for research, development, shooting, interviewing, all of those things.
We put more into the news, so you get more out of it.
There's always the dilemma of people coming in and barely getting the skills, and sometimes when they can be quite good, they move on.
If a person leaves, you never hire their replacement. You hire another person who brings themselves to the table. People have different skills and they have different strengths. It was always a freshening of us, not just a training of them. You know, the more diversity you get in ideas, the more honest the newsroom becomes. My job was eliminated.
Yeah. I mean, they're both environmental issues.
Which is why they work fairly well next to each other. Little by little, I just started teaching another class here, another class there.
Good news for local outdoor lovers.
You're saying people who make love outdoors, okay? It's outdoor lovers. All right. right, change it to good news for people who love the out of doors.
Good news for people who love the outdoors. The outdoor mega store Cabela's is coming to Springfield next spring.
There is never going to cease to be a need for people to collect information in an honorable fashion and deliver it to people so that it can be trusted. Those things are always going to be needed. The format's going to change, but the fact that we need storytellers who are willing to serve the public with the best motives possible will probably still be there. Okay?
Taking care of it right now.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, let's do this.
You're being my counter?
Sure, I got you, yeah.
Okay. No, you just need to count down from 10.
I got it. Okay, we are about to start our run-through.
Please welcome Rebecca Force. Rebecca, I know that Bill created that video with the utmost respect and gratitude for your inspiration, and I know he's not the only one who feels that way. That young woman who gave her a hug when she arrived here was one of her students and also one of our scholarship winners. And one of your students said, "She taught me how to truly look at the world through a different lens. She taught me not only how to make a film, but also be a human being. She has given us so much time and love."
Well, I probably ought to start off with the best advice I can give all the people that are still practicing news. Get it first, get it fair, get it right, and don't let the bastards scare you. They gave me 2 minutes, so I'm going to use them. Ernest Hemingway said there are some things which cannot be learned quickly, and time, which is all that we have, must be paid heavily for their acquiring. They are the very simplest things, and because it takes a man's life to know them, the little new that each man gets from life is very costly and the only heritage he has to leave. So here are some of the things that I have learned. Mistakes are only good for one thing, and that's what you learn from them. If you pay attention to the lessons offered by mistakes, you don't have to make the same mistake twice, but you'll probably make others. If you make enough mistakes in your life, you will get a lot of lessons. And if you learn from all of those lessons, we call that wisdom. Well, one of the very best things you can learn is that your life will be a lot easier if you can learn from other people's mistakes instead of from your own. That is why it is a very good idea to watch the news, read history, and check out a lot of newspapers. That's because journalists keep busy by documenting other people's mistakes. Journalists shine lights in dark corners. They let people know when there are rats in the basement, foxes loose in the henhouse, or oil spills gushing, or liars lying, so that the people who pay attention can figure out how to avoid some of life's pitfalls and become wiser themselves. I know that people sometimes receive awards that they wouldn't have if it weren't for the people who had helped them along the way, especially people like me who came into journalism through the back door and learned how to do it right from dedicated, talented, and generous people who taught, shared, lectured, and nurtured me. So while I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, I could have made a lot more. And forgetting those people who brought me to this party tonight is not going to be one of them. They are the people who taught me to teach, and I am indebted to them and grateful to you for this remarkable honor. Thank you.
That's why they give out those Silver Circle Awards.